Thomas Massie, he has a lot of issues with Donald Trump and disagreements. Three things you have to understand when it comes to disagreements between him and Donald Trump. When I say he has issues with Donald Trump, obviously the reason for that is because Donald Trump doesn't know what he's talking about for the most part. Now, three issues he said that I have problem with Donald Trump are: number one, war. Number two is the debt of the country, which we know trillions of dollars. And number three is the Epstein's file. Therefore, whenever Donald Trump finds an occasion to blast him, to criticize him, to mock him, to insult him, he doesn't miss that. In this video, you will see one of those occasions where Donald Trump is lashing out at this guy, Thomas Massie, whom I admire and respect a lot. And then you will see for yourself how Massie is responding to these insults of Donald Trump. But before I play the video, just to remind you, if you are not subscribed to my channel, consider subscribing, like this video, share this video, and also leave a comment. Take a listen.
Republicans have just one vote to spare with their razor-thin majority in the House. But one Republican has drawn more ire from President Trump than any other. This was Friday at the National Prayer Breakfast in Washington.
No matter what we do, this moron, no matter what it is, we got 100% vote except for this guy named Thomas Massie. There's something wrong with him.
Thomas Massie.
No matter what we do, this guy is a problem. I hate to hear him, but what we can do. This guy is so cringe. Donald Trump is such a cringe.
A libertarian-minded conservative has represented Northern Kentucky since 2012, a perennial no vote on spending bills, and now a leader in pushing for the full release of the Epstein files over the president's furious objections. He joins me now live from his farm in Kentucky. Congressman Massie, thank you so much for being here. I do want to ask you about that comment from the President of the United States insulting you like that at the National Prayer Breakfast. What's your response to him?
Well, first of all, I'm glad to know I'm in the president's prayers. But second of all, you know, on the internet, some people have suggested that MIT should take my degree away. And my response is, which one should they take away? I have 2 degrees from MIT. And I'm sorry you booked a moron today on your show.
And how many degrees Donald Trump has? This guy is from MIT. Do you know what that is mean? Donald Trump, do you even have any idea what it is to be successful and educated? I don't think he has any idea. So we are dealing with uncivilized person, Donald Trump, and a civilized person like Thomas Massie. But of course, Trump would never get it.
Fair enough. I do want to talk to you about your fight to release the Epstein files in a minute. But first, I want to get your reaction to the news about how the president posted then deleted this racist video depicting the Obama as apes. He has refused to apologize. Do you think he should apologize to the Obamas?
He should absolutely apologize. He's gone too far. I mean, he's attacked my wife recently online, and I do think there are limits. If for a while it's kind of funny, but once you pass certain guardrails, like attacking a man's spouse or getting into racist tropes, I think it's somebody at the White House, maybe Susie Wiles, needs to go to the president and just ask him for his phone and maybe ask him just to show him the tweet before he sends it out.
Yeah, just to follow up on your wife, because it is alarming. Multiple times he has gone after her in social media posts. I mean, how angry does that make you?
It doesn't make me angry, but it's unfair to my spouse. I mean, look, Donald Trump was giving to Democrats when my wife was working for Right to Work and Campaign for Liberty and Rand Paul. In fact, worked in Rand Paul's office over a decade ago, back when Donald Trump was still a Democrat. So I think it's wrong. Fortunately, everything he says about her is untrue, but it's beyond the pale. And people recoil when he goes to those racist tropes or when he attacks spouses. It's just uncalled for.
Okay, so let's talk about the Epstein file.
Now, before we talk about the Epstein's file, just want to point out one thing. Now, recently, there are reports and confirmation from doctors, from psychiatrists, that Donald Trump, has a cognitive decline. This is not something I'm making up. It is widespread. When he tweeted or posted that funny meme of Obama, I was like, man, there can be an explanation for that. And that is that he's losing his mind. He doesn't remember. He doesn't know what he's doing. His cognitive decline is such in such a state at the moment where there is no coming back from. And so from that kind of a person, you get that this kind of tweet is, to me, understandable. The other explanation we have, which is more likely, is that he's a racist. He's a blatant racist, and he doesn't have any shame, no problem being a racist. But if you go with both of them, you get a man who is completely a rot.
Of course, it was your legislation that requires the Trump administration to have released all the Epstein files by last December. Now, the Justice Department now has released more than 3 million documents, and it says the Justice Department is saying that they have fully complied with the law. Is the Trump administration complying with the law?
No, well, they missed the deadline, but that's not the worst part. The two worst parts are they are releasing victims' information. I mean, just outright lists of victims. It's terrible. And beyond that, they are withholding the perpetrators' names. There's still 302 files. Those are the forms that the FBI fills out after they interview witnesses and victims, and they're still withholding those. And they're over-redacting the documents that have, they relate to some really sketchy emails, but we can't see who the sender was. And so they really need to come off some more information. Monday, Todd Blanche said that members of Congress can come and start viewing those redactions. Ro Khanna and I are very interested in going and reviewing some of those redactions, but there are also files that we need to see. And finally, Pam Bondi will be in front of my committee. I serve on the Judiciary Committee this coming week on Wednesday. And so I'll have some questions for her related to the Epstein files.
What are you going to ask her?
Well, where are the rest of the documents? Why did they release victims' names? They took extra time, they said, to be safe. And, what are these redactions? Now, we may get to see those redactions. Hopefully, we can go to the DOJ before she shows up on Wednesday and see how responsive they are to us in person. But, she's not, if you notice, they don't put her out in front anymore. They put Todd Blanche out in front because she's been all over the map. She has no credibility on this. She said there's a ton of files. They're on my desk. I'm going to release them. And then she said there's nothing but, child sexual abuse material and nobody wants to see that. And then she said, we found a whole bunch more and there are going to be more investigations. But what are those investigations, for instance?
Yeah.
And so there's a whole host of questions for her. But I'm glad that she's coming to Judiciary. She hasn't been there since she's been Attorney General.
How are you going to respond if they don't fully comply with the law? You had told me before that you may go to the floor and actually read the names of people on the alleged Epstein client list. Are you still planning to do that?
I'm ready to do that if the victims want me to. They believe that the best way to get justice is to force the DOJ to release these names. I've already read one name in a committee with the FBI director there. That's Jess Staley. And again, he may or may not be guilty, but he's been accused by these victims, the lawyer tells me. And there are other names. I don't have them in my possession. But if the victims want to give them to me, I've expressed that I'm willing to do that. But again, the best way is to force the DOJ to release those names on those 302 forms.
Absolutely. We do need those names to be released. Those criminals, those pedos names in the Jeffrey Epstein's files. Now, Massie addressed also Trump's efforts to unseat him in the primary, noting that he votes with Trump 91% of the time with disagreements, primarily on issues related to pedophiles, national debt, or war that I just mentioned in the beginning of this video. Massie believes the campaign against him is to keep other colleagues in line and attributes funding for his opponent to Epstein class, quote unquote, billionaires. Of course, Donald Trump, what a rot this guy had become. Shame on him, whatever he's doing to his fellow Republicans, like he's not sparing anybody. Now we also know that he's blocking Bill Clinton with James Comer from testifying in public for the Epstein files. So this pedo knows his days are numbered. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section. Subscribe. See you in the next video.